Greetings, everyone. It's Crime Talk with Crin, and we are back with episode 15. I am so excited. I am happy to be here. Welcome to all my new subscribers. Welcome back to my day ones, and a huge shout out once again to Tommy Jude over at Once Upon a Crime Time. Thank you. I will be joining Tommy Jude on Friday. So if you want to catch me in real time, head over to Tommy Jude's on Friday. The link to his channel will be in my description box. Please go over, subscribe, check out his content. He is amazing. I know a lot of you have come over from his channel, so you already know how fantastic he is. If you have not viewed his channel, if you are unfamiliar with him, please take a moment. Like I said, the link to his channel is in the description. Go check him out. Thank you again. Another channel that I want to shout out is Innocent Until. Innocent Until is the creator who basically kicked me out on stage, Ready or Not. He is fantastic, and I will forever thank him for what he has, the way that he has helped me out. Thank you so much. If you are unfamiliar with Innocent Until, he has a way of delivering his content that really gets you going. So please, the link to his channel is also in my description box. Thank you. So now I read y'all's comments. I try to read all the comments, and I smell what y'all are stepping in, okay? So I'm not going to carry on too long. Without further ado, let's get into what we're talking about today. This is the last part of my mini-series. This is the last installment for now of, things we're not supposed to look at. And today, we are looking at Ann Taylor. I told you guys in my last episode that I was coming back and I was coming for Ann Taylor, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. So let's get into it. So to be clear, it's not that I do not like Ann Taylor. I don't trust her. I don't trust her. She seems so slimy to me. And luckily for me, she's not my lawyer. But it seems like she may have been everybody else's. And part of that is a reason that I really get the, I can't. It's so much. It is so much. I'm going to try to be quick about it. But we're going to start with the part that's really burning me up today. And that is, we heard in the very beginning that once she was announced as Brian Kohberger's public defender, there were whispers around that she was the lawyer for one of the mothers. And so people were wondering if this was a conflict. And Ann Taylor quickly came out and was like, I'm not defending her no more. And so everybody was like, oh, okay, cool. And it was done with. So at that time, if any of us were familiar, not all of us were familiar with exactly what was going on with that particular mother. Now, some months down the line, we know what that mother had going on. And so there's a lot of channels who are suggesting that the mother's case and the Idaho 4 case are related, and not so loosely either. So we know that the mother was involved in the possession and distribution of illegal substances. We know that. And so she was charged, and Ann Taylor was her counsel. And so now there's channels who believe that this mother, along with a stepmother of another one of the victims, made a deal. And in that deal, they acted as an informant to help the state to reduce their sentencing. And so these other channels are suggesting that maybe when the mother and stepmother made this deal, it angered some very dangerous and powerful people. Once they got word of it, they had to make an example, or, maybe enact a little revenge payback type of situation. And that's where the Idaho 4 situation came into play. So they had to let them know, hey, you don't mess with us. And so there's a lot of channels who are rolling with this theory. And so Pavarotti, to be specific, he has a whole timeline. And in his timeline, you see when arrests happened, when charges were brought up, when deals were accepted, how sentencing had been delayed, and then in between charges, deals, and sentencing, we have smack right in the middle, the Idaho 4 situation happens. And so I'm not here to say whether they are related or not, but what I am here to say is that the channels who are rolling with this theory have made a very compelling argument. And what I will say is the way that the timelines have been set up and established makes more sense than Bryan Kohberger, who has no ties, no relationship, no connection to any of these people. We have no motive. There's no connection. So it doesn't make sense. Now, people can say that when you start talking about mob, mafia, cartel, illegal empires and such, we're going to believe that, this can't happen because they wouldn't leave a witness. They wouldn't leave one stone unturned. They would pull their bones out and feed them to their parents. And people go down all these, and I don't know how much experience the viewers have with cartel, mob, mafia, illegal empires. I don't know how much experience the viewers have with mob hits and revenge killings and things like that. I don't know. I don't have any. So if you say that this does not have the signatures of a mob hit, of a cartel hit, I'm going to take your word for it. I hope I never find out firsthand. I do hope that the truth comes out at some point pertaining to Idaho 4. Now, I know there's a lot of people who do not like any conversation about the parents or the remaining roommates. I do understand that. I do understand that, the empathetic side of a lot of people does not want a conversation carried out on public platforms about the parents or the remaining roommates because they have suffered a tragic loss. They were there. They are directly connected. I understand that. And I think that because we are not supposed to look at the parents, that's why this has been overlooked. Like, a lot of people just don't like the conversation to happen at all. But it's there. That's not what we're here to talk about today. What we're here to talk about is the fact that this theory exists. These facts exist. And Ian Taylor is smack dab in the middle of it. So now when I say that Ann Taylor is straddling the fence, when I say that she's under the umbrella of the state, there's people who are like, well, she's a public defender, this is her job. I get it. I wholeheartedly get it. However, my point is that the same person that's paying the prosecutor is paying Ann Taylor. And so when I say, are they paying her this much money to lose? That's something to think about. Because this isn't her regular salary. If it was her regular salary, nobody would bat an eye at it. She's getting paid a lot of money. They are shoveling out, dumping out lots of money for this case. And the question on the table is, are they paying all this money for her to lose? So now, a few episodes ago, I was saying that I thought it was disrespectful to the families for Ann Taylor to be standing in court chubbing up Bill Thompson. I said that. I said that her sitting here in court about to cry, talking about how she wasn't ready to go to trial next summer, and saying that she did not think that the state was intentionally withholding evidence. She said that so much that she did not think that they were withholding evidence. And then all of a sudden, just like that one hearing, she shows up about it. One hearing, she shows up and she is calling the prosecutor out. And she was going so hard that the judge was like, all right, that's enough. Like, you guys are great. You guys don't need to do this. Because in my opinion, the judge realized that you're putting on. Because where was this smoke? We're more than 18 months down the line. Where was all this then? So unless something happened, why are you coming with all of this now? And so now there's people like, oh yeah, Ann Taylor was giving it to them in court. That's what I'm talking about. Go in. And I'm like, no, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it because I was so irritated by the way that she was carried on. And there is a thing called professionalism. So I'm not saying that she needed to be acting like, snapping her fingers, twisting her neck in court. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that she was making it obvious in the beginning that they were on the same side. So there was a fifth motion a document came out the other day where they wanted to seal Exhibit 1 from the fifth motion to compel. Something like that. And they said that Ann did not... she had no objection, right? And so some people are like, well, why didn't she object? Like, she should be objecting to this. And I'm like, well, no, she didn't object because if you go back into the document, scroll all the way back to last year when the fifth motion was initially filed, it said something like Exhibit D, and it said it was sealed then. So even though Ann Taylor is putting on for the cameras, she's still playing the same game. Because Ann Taylor had no objection to them knocking down that house. Ann Taylor had no objection to the gag order in the beginning. Ann Taylor had no objection to everything being sealed in the beginning. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, none of this needs to be sealed. We did this to, so we didn't have to go back and forth. Y'all have hearings about every other thing that y'all say to each other. Don't sit here and say now that we didn't want to go back and forth. And y'all aren't trying to save time. Y'all don't even have a trial date yet. You were just crying a couple of months ago saying that you weren't ready to go to trial next year. So it wasn't about saving time. It wasn't about not going back and forth. It was simply because you are on their side. Period. You're on their side. But now you're sitting here putting on for the camera. You're performing because you know that everybody's watching. You know that people have been calling you out. So, but what you also think, because a lot of people, in the comments, not just mine, but I watch plenty of videos. I read plenty of comment sections. And so there's people who don't think past the official narrative. There are people that agree with what is being told to them by official sources and nothing else. So now when you see that the stalker issue that was put out in court, they admitted that they knew that there was no stalker. And guess what? Mainstream media still runs with the stalker issue. I'm probably going to talk about that next. But my point is, because mainstream media is still pushing the stalker narrative, there are a lot of people who are still going along with the stalker narrative, even though in court it has been said out loud on the record that they knew from the beginning. Everybody, both sides, everybody knew that there was no stalker. So now Ann Taylor gets to put on, she wants to act like she got all the smoke for the judge and the prosecution. So now she's doing all of this like she's gunning for them now. And so that's all it's going to take for mainstream media to pick up the story. And then like, oh yeah, Ann Taylor's a bulldog in a skirt. Oh yeah, she's in court. She's giving it to him. No, she's not. She's pretending. She's pretending, because when you look at the stuff that's still being sealed, when you look at the fact that she has not mentioned these 3 DNAs again, after they stood in court and said that they were never tested, somebody in my comment section was like, well, how do they know they're male if they weren't tested? Boom. Bingo. So yes, I will say that the putting the officers on the stand and them talking about the cars, and we realize what went on with the white Elantra when they first started looking at Brian Kohberger. Is this car that car? Are y'all talking about the same car? Was he even in the area? When you factor in the cast report and the make pretend map and all that stuff, yes, that is giving me life. Because they are sitting here proving that the PCA is garbage. When they said that the PCA is irrelevant, and we're like, how? How is the PCA irrelevant? That's what y'all used to arrest him. How is it irrelevant? And then one by one, they take the stand and say that all this stuff was made up. Yeah, it's irrelevant. So now we're looking at a change of venue. Hold on. Why do we need to change the venue? We don't even have a date yet. Now, it makes sense to me that there's going to be a change of venue because y'all have all these reasons why it has to happen in the summertime. So if y'all have all these reasons why it has to happen in the summertime, if you move it somewhere else, none of these reasons matter. That shouldn't even be something to go back and forth about. It shouldn't. When y'all were doing a survey and y'all wanted to be, oh my gosh, they're giving out the gag order and they're giving out information, and how could they make calls like this and all that? Forget on that. None of that. The state's argument about why the trial has to happen in the summertime is the same reason why the trial should happen somewhere else. Simple as that. Y'all talk about the school and parking and sporting events and lodging and all. Okay, y'all, if y'all got a full house, move it somewhere else. Simple as that. Now, I could be wrong. And that's okay. These are strictly my opinions. And this is my channel, and I get to tell my opinion on my channel. However, when you factor in everything, when you look at the exculpatory evidence and how many times they have mentioned things being exculpatory, Somebody, somebody in my comments from my last video said that I, only mentioned the definition of exculpatory. And the truth is, I don't need to make any other examples because there's plenty of examples in the case. Bethany Funk, exculpatory evidence. The IGG in a knife sheath, per Dawn Daniels, exculpatory evidence. Whatever is going on with the white Elantra, exculpatory evidence. Hello? They're the examples. These things can possibly, and then whatever Brady Giglio, exculpatory evidence. That's what, 4 or 5 things that could potentially absolve Bryan Kohberger of any responsibility or guilt in this case. If you have the Cy Ray and the cast report situation and Bryan Kohberger's alibi saying I was not there and we can prove it, why are you crying in court saying that you don't feel comfortable to say that you'll be ready next summer? Why not? Why were you sitting in court talking about 51 terabytes if you're also saying that the 51 terabytes is nothing but busy work? If it's not 51 terabytes of evidence proving Bryan Kohberger is guilty, who cares if it's 51 million terabytes? And I said it before, if you're talking about you need more time because of all the evidence that you were given, but then at the same time you can say he was not there, and you have a list of all these exculpatory things, why is he still sitting there? Why aren't we moving forward? How can you, on one hand, say that they have bogged you down with all this evidence and you need more time to go through it, but then turn around and say that you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have this? How do you know that what you're looking for isn't in all the evidence you haven't been able to get through yet? She's playing in our faces. That's how I feel about it. She's playing in our faces. Every other day, something in this case comes up, and it's like, how are we supposed to believe this and that at the same time? Do you know for a fact that they haven't turned over evidence, or do you have a room full of evidence that you can't get through yet? What? You have all these tips. Have you been able to get through all the tips yet? How do you know what you don't have if you haven't been able to get through the evidence? And how is it that 18 months after the fact, you can still quote the same numbers? That's why I did the video talking about sticking to the script. You're still saying the same thing that you were saying in the beginning. As far as the evidence. The evidence is too much. You need more time, because you have so much evidence. And now they're giving you stuff piece by piece. But according to you, you haven't even been able to get through the truckload that they gave you in the beginning. You got a whole team of people. What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Why is this man still sitting there? You can sit in court talking about something. He's innocent. He's innocent. Ain't nobody asked you to do all that. Get him out then. He's so innocent, but according to you, you still need how many years before you're ready to say he didn't do it? If y'all went to trial, if this was a trial, and you asked them about the cast report, and they said, I doodled it on a napkin while I was at the diner, because that's basically what he said, the jury would be like, oh, wow. Well, there goes that. If you ask him about the white Elantra, and he's like, well, it did, and so, but nothing. He had nothing. When you start picking apart the knife sheath, who saw it? When? Was it in a picture? Did you see it when you were there? Was it on anybody's body cam? How come the boy that was with you said that he heard about it later, but you're saying that you saw it yourself? Why is Dawn Daniels saying, if you think it's exculpatory, forget I said anything? If these hearings were the trial, Brian Koberger would be skipping to his loo up out of there. So why is it that you are saying that you're not ready to go to trial, but bringing these officers on the stand and these experts on the stand showing that this is garbage, that this is bunk, that this means nothing, that everything is made up? Why aren't we in trial? What do you need? Because guess what? If they didn't give it to you, that means they don't have it. So if you went to trial and none of y'all had any evidence, he's getting up out of there. Why aren't we at trial? That's why I don't trust her. Please, if you have not, subscribe to my channel, share it, like the video, leave me a comment. Again, check out Tommy Jude over at Once Upon a Crime Time. Check out Innocent Until. Thank you, everyone. That's all I got.
That's best case scenario. I'm nervous telling you I'll be ready by summer of 2025. I'm nervous telling you that. Motions to compel, and we've had some pretty lively debates about what certain things that we should have and certain things that they don't want us to have for other reasons. Those things take time as well. We don't have complete discovery. I don't think the state has complete discovery, but
it's a change. See that because both sides have agreed to seal a lot of these issues of evidence in the discovery, and so all of a sudden it just does feel like it's moving in a different direction. But I understand what you said. It's like, this isn't about the discovery, this is about the hearing.
Now is a public hearing when the state has decided to not give us information or to drag their feet on giving us information. Your Honor, that stuff's in the public eye. Why can't I talk about what they refuse to give me in the public eye?
Well,